What's good, people? It's Jagilsdorf coming back at you with another Rich Kid Broke Parents RKBP video. All these videos are based off of the book, so go ahead and check out the playlist. There's a link in the description. You can see all the videos related to this, but let's get into this video. Take the risk. The alternative is much worse, regret. There are two types of mistakes that you'll make in life, regrets from action and regrets from inaction. Regretting something that you did is a lot easier than regretting something that you didn't do. It's a lot easier to look back and say, yeah, nope, that was a mistake, that's a regret. It's a lot harder to look back and say, I wonder what would have happened if I actually did something. An 18-year-old is going to waste 3 to 5 years of their life on a college degree that they hate, to get a job that they hate, only to potentially go back to school for another degree and get another job, and they might end up hating that one too. Or B, they invest some of their time into a dream or lifestyle that they're passionate about, only to see that fail and end up going back to school anyway. In both cases, the 18-year-old made a mistake, but at least in choice B, they took the path less traveled and they tested it out. Sure, it failed, but they at least tried. There's no fear of what if. There are two types of mistakes that you'll make in life, mistakes from action and mistakes from inaction. Some of the most interesting stories I've heard are considered mistakes. They were dumb ideas that probably shouldn't have had, but they were fun. And everyone that ever tells these mistake stories, they're always happy to tell them. They always tell them with a smile on their face. There's really no regret involved. Looking back at my own stories, I wouldn't change them one bit. I don't regret the times I did something dumb. I regret the time I chickened out. I regret when my fear of going was more than my fear of missing out. This is the advice I give to any student ever. The anxiety of going to class needs to be more than the anxiety of staying home. Because once you start piling up absences, once it starts becoming more and more uncomfortable to face all that work head on, you start procrastinating, and then you just never do it. You have to solve the problem before it's too late. Your fear of missing out needs to be more than your fear of going. I mean, what do you have to lose with all this? There are many ways to make money. You could go finish your degree and get a job, you could rob a bank, you could start a business, but consider your risk-reward opportunities. I mean, it's one thing to go jump the Grand Canyon on a motorcycle. You're not going to die from starting a business, and you're not going to die from finishing your college degree. Furthermore, you can do both. By going to college, you'll have a higher chance of stability and more opportunities in life. Whether your startup business succeeds or fails, having a degree will only help. Whether you use your college degree or not, having a startup business will only help. It'll give you more opportunities and more stability in life, just like the college degree will. So do both. There are many financial risks you will take, but consider the risk-reward opportunities, specifically when it's asymmetrical. If you invest $1 into an opportunity, your max loss is, well, $1. If it has the chance to get to $5, then you'd profit $4. That'd be a 400% ROI. Now, your maximum loss was 100%, $1, but you could have gotten a 400% return on investment. So it's asymmetrical. Decrease your risks and better secure your rewards. There is a risk when you buy a used car or a home. Something always breaks and it's never cheap to fix. Determine the price and likelihood of the worst case scenario. Is that used car still worth it if you have to replace $5,000 worth of failures? Is it even going to last 10,000 more miles? What about that home? What is the value of a home if you have to put $20,000 into a leaky basement? Is it still the same? Is it still worth it? Take the risks, but be conscientious of those risks, and be conscientious of risk-reward opportunities, particularly when it's asymmetrical. There are two types of mistakes you're going to make in this world. Mistakes from action and mistakes from inaction. When we look at disproportionate opportunities, you could look at college degrees as a perfect example. A degree in engineering or computer science is going to be the same cost as a degree in graphic art or photography. It might be more work for sure, but it's going to be the same cost. But then the job market is going to be completely different. The median salary for both are extremely disproportionate. You spent the same amount of money for a degree that you're going to get less money back. So consider disproportionate risk-reward opportunities. Which leads me into the next section of financial education. We've all heard the if you give someone a fish, you fed them for a day. If you teach them to fish, you fed them for a lifetime. But I take this a step further. If you teach someone how to sell fish, you fed their whole family. If you teach someone how to employ fishermen, you've given them freedom. If I gave you $10,000 right now, could you turn it into something more? Could you double it? Could you even just get $1 return? People will spend upwards of $50,000 on college degrees, but they're apprehensive about a $10,000 business loan because they don't know where to put it. They don't know how to manage it. Why are high school graduates, 18-year-olds, encouraged to make $50,000 financial decisions without ever having any formal financial education? Why are they discouraged from following their dreams or passions and still encouraged to just find this job that they are going to barely find interesting? At this point in the book, I put a Steve Jobs quote, but I'll just let him say it.
People say you have to have a lot of passion for what you're doing, and it's totally true. And the reason is because it's so hard, that if you don't, any rational person would give up. It's really hard, and you have to do it over a sustained period of time. So if you don't love it, if you're not having fun doing it, and you don't really love it, you're going to give up.
While a college degree has plenty of value, it means nothing if you don't have any financial education. What good is a $200,000 a year job if you don't know how to manage the money? Look at any expert in financial education or business as a whole, and they're going to outperform anyone with just a college degree. Combined, a financial education and a college degree are the most powerful weapons any one person can possess. Furthermore, financial ignorance is the most common reason for failure. Second only to infidelity, financial complications are the most common reason for divorce. More and more studies have indicated that places of poverty have a higher crime rate, suicide rate, and homicide rate. Financial negligence is the root of all failure. Aristotle said it best: poverty is the parent of crime. So I divide financial education into 4 levels. The first level are those seeking advice. These people are smart enough to understand money is important, but they're not informed enough to make decisions of their own. So they outsource their decision making to financial advisors, bankers, accountants, investment brokers, stuff like that. Now, this isn't a bad start, but it's certainly not the finish line. The second level of financial education is financial literacy. You can't really understand how to make decisions unless you understand the words behind what you're doing first. Now, the lines between the first and second level are not clearly defined. You could be in the first level when it comes to stocks, but the second level when it comes to real estate. You understand a lot more of the vocabulary involved with real estate, and therefore you understand more about that topic, and you're able to make better informed decisions just because you know some of the words involved. Whereas with the stock market, you just outsource all of it because you don't even really know what you're talking about. But that's still fine because at least you're getting involved. The third level is manipulation. You no longer have any bad debt, which is debt that is used to purchase liabilities. You have good debt, debt that's used to purchase assets, something that makes you more money, something that has regular cash flow. An asset. So rather than on level 1 where you're outsourcing all of your decision making, you're the one doing it yourself. You have a hands-on experience. No matter how many books you read about swimming, you're never going to learn until you get into the water. Once it's life or death, you start to learn very quickly. The fourth level of financial education I define as wisdom. At this point, you're giving advice to other people. More importantly, they're specifically seeking out your advice. They're asking you for your opinion on the matter. So not only have you proved to yourself, but you've proved to the surrounding people that you know what you're talking about, you know what you're doing. Which leads me to the next section of investments, expenses, and purchases. What's the difference? Now, I'm going to use these words for the rest of the series as my definition for these words, and sometimes they correlate with others, but this is how I separate them. An investment is something that actually makes you money, where an expense is something that makes money making easier. Typically, expenses are tax deductible, where an investment you're actually getting cash flow from. Now, a purchase is going to be considered unnecessary by most people. Those are the things that you do just for your own satisfaction. So the goal is that most of your money is going into investments, expenses, and then a small fraction is going into purchases. Now, that doesn't mean that you're not spending a lot of money on things you like. That just means that a small fraction of your money. So if you feel like you can't afford that purchase, the problem isn't that it's too expensive. The problem is that you're just not making enough money. It's an income issue, not a price issue. But we'll be talking more about that in other videos. Now, a purchase is actually the most important, and that's not a contradiction. While it should be the smallest amount, it's the most important because that's what prevents burnout. If you don't treat yourself once in a while, then what's the point? What's the incentive? Just to work hard for retirement and die early? You have to give yourself room to have fun. Guilt-free fun. Debt-free fun. So you set limits, a maximum and a minimum. If I get all my work done, then I get to go out this week. If I don't get my work done, then I don't go out. But at the bare minimum, I need something. And for me, that's my daily cup of coffee. That's my reward for everything I did yesterday. And you never pay yourself first. The cup of coffee isn't for the stuff I'm going to do today. It's because yesterday I achieved the goals I wanted to achieve. It's like a present. It's like Christmas. One day I'm gonna own a home, maybe 2, maybe a log cabin, maybe a beach house, and then my main home base, my headquarters. I'll have fancy cars, a yacht, a private jet, and I think about all of these things that I'm going to have while I drink my cup of coffee. And that motivates me to get the things done that I'm gonna do today. Now, I'm also fully aware that that day may never come, but it's the chase that excites me. It's the building, it's the rise, it's the climb that's exciting. Once you get to the peak, it's kind of boring. Now you have to walk back down the mountain. It's the climb that's exciting. It's the anticipation. So far in the book and in these videos, we've said we were going to be using $25 an hour for our average hourly rate. That's $50,000 a year, provided you work about 40 hours per week and 50 weeks out of the year. So in the book and in in these videos so far, we've been using $25 as our hourly rate of pay as an average, just for calculation purposes. That's $50,000 per year, provided you're working 40 hours per week for 50 weeks out of the year. So imagine making $12 an hour. But instead of working for 40 hours a week, you're working for 168 hours per week. That's every hour in the week. That's $108,000 a year. But what if you were only actively working for 4 hours? That's what these videos are going to focus on a lot more. How do you make money during your spare hours? I spend my spare hours sleeping, and I get paid for them. Thank you guys for watching this video. I will see you in the next one. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and comment down below any questions that you've had, because I'll make another video on them. Thanks for watching. Peace.